know,
Yeah.
like don't marry outside the religion or whatever the case.
Mm.
Um, but I think that it can work. It would just take work
Mm. There's a.
more than if someone who had the same beliefs,
Mhm.
because there wouldn't have to be any negotiation or debate about, are we going to celebrate Christmas or are we going to celebrate Hanukkah,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's interesting. I think it's difficult for me personally. I think that's a difficult task to overtake with two
oh,
opposite.
definitely.
I mean, you have to be two unique type of people to do that,
Hmm.
to sustain that, because we're talking about long lasting, sustainable relationships. To sustain that,
Yeah.
you have to be two unique type of people, and
Yeah.
I think that's very difficult. I think it's very difficult. I've seen a couple of people try it, personally, well, within
Hmm.
my family and people that I know, friends, and it just didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So, um, some of the other things that I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a question. What are, because I gave you that statement, men lie, right? What are some of the things that men do that turn off, women? What are some of the other things that women notice that men do that turn off?
Um, Something that men do that's a turnoff to women. In
Yeah.
what aspect? Like,
In aspects of, like, say you're trying to, say you're going through the dating period. I don't understand the dating period. Say the dating period,
hmm,
so when you're doing a analysis of him, or so to speak, and what are some of the things they do? Because I find boasting. I don't like boasting men. A lot of men boast.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
in that aspect. So, what are some of the things do they?
okay. Um, Something for me is when a man has a big ego.
Hmm.
Like, to me, that's just like when women like a man who's secure of himself. And usually when the ego takes over, I feel like that's a form of insecurity and it's a huge turnoff for me.
Hmm.
Like if they're always just like, I'm the best, I'm the best. And that's great to an extent.
Hmm.
You believe in
Hmm.
yourself, but when you overdo it or, you're just more so arrogant about yourself, like that's a turnoff. Like I think that there has to be a level of humility,
Of course.
when dealing with people. Especially in a relationship, there has to be humility and room for correction. And usually when you have an ego, there is no room for correction because you're right all the time.
I'm gonna say again. I'm gonna say another statement. All men have egos.
But there's a
Now,
certain level. You can
there's a
have a
certain
high
level.
ego or a
Yeah.
low ego. There's
Yeah.
you have to have a
A
healthy
balance.
balance.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, you have
Hmm.
to have a balance. That's why I'm just like, when your ego is way too
Way
healthy
too
for
heavy.
me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like you have some humility and because that humility is going to help save the relationship too. You have to have a balance and be able to say, you know what, or take corrective criticism,
Yeah.
like if your partner doesn't like something or they let you know that something that you're doing is bothering them,
Hmm.
you can't just neglect the way that they feel because the way that they feel is valid regardless whether you think it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Mm. So I'm going to touch back on something with today's society with the rise of social media. Um, you think that's interrupting a lot of relationships nowadays? Your personal opinion?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the just the idea of so many options,
Mm-hmm.
just when in reality, they're really not even options,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of insecurity comes into play with social media when dealing with relationships and things like that. Um, the level of trust that has to be there,
Be there.
you
That's
know,
right.
depending on who you are as a person and how you use your social media in a relationship. Like,
Yeah.
do you hide it? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
social media is breaking up relationships.
Yes, it is.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
guys don't want to let girls see their phone, or vice versa. Girls don't
Mm-hmm.
want to let guys see, and who's liking all your pictures and who's this person. And it
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it causes more fight than probably what it really is
Mm-hmm.
most times people aren't even entertaining people on social media.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, in my case anyway. I
I'll say
can't
this
speak
that
for everybody because I know some people they use Facebook as Tinder, so let me just stay in my lane.
yeah, like I said, on an Islamic perspective is difficult. It's different because you don't have that dating period. You don't have that now. There's still human beings out there that do things against the practice of their faith.
Mhm.
But according to Islam, that dating period isn't there, so that option
Yeah.
wouldn't be there for a Muslim man if he was conducting himself as a Muslim man. So,
Hmm.
but I mean, I wanted to touch on this. The reason why I wanted to touch on this is because I keep getting requests on relationships and relationships and relationships, and everybody keeps
Yeah,
asking me, you know,
me too. That's
and I'm
one of
like,
the biggest requests, and I'm like, I don't know.
that's what the same.
like,
I'm the same way. I don't know. I don't,
like I think that it's a great topic. I also think it has a lot to do with perspective and personal
There you go.
experience.
There you go. There you go. You know,
So,
you got to go.
yeah, and
If I had some, you know, not so good relationships myself, but those were my problems. I have to take the brunt of my mistakes. I made a statement a while back to men mature, and when they mature, by the time they get to the point of maturity, the the wake they leave behind them is bad. It's real
like a
bad.
tidal wave.
Like a tidal wave. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
I definitely agree. And, I think it just takes habits to be able to sustain a relationship. Like I said, the humility, you got to have that authenticity because anything that isn't authentic will always run its course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the energy has to be there, the connection, the chemistry, um, the communication is big. I think people nowadays too, they listen more so to respond rather than the intent to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you listen with the intent to understand, you in turn are able to ask the right questions to be able to resolve whatever conflict there is,
Yeah.
So um, the communication for me is the biggest. Like, it's just, I don't care what's going on. I don't care how you think my feelings are going to be after hearing what you have to say. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
be open with me, just be honest with me, and always tell me. Like, just keep it real. Can't keep it
Yeah.
real with people these days. And it's just, it's hard to create genuine connections because people are so fearful. And I think that goes back to the social media thing too, that everybody has so many options, right? Like, I don't want to get to know this person, or I don't want to really invest the time because I know that they're probably not going to be here very long.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to think about, if you have that mentality, then you're never going to open up yourself to something that could possibly be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So watch how you think about it. I always try to stay open minded to, whatever. I don't think that, relationships are horrible. I think that it's all in God's timing.
There you go.
Whenever it's going to happen, will happen. I'm not looking, I'm not searching. I am just
Mhm.
being.
Yeah.
And whatever God has for me will find its way,
Yeah. Well,
you know,
that's
regardless. So I don't, I try not to fret on what the dating world is really like.
mm,
I just, whatever is meant for me is going to be for me.
yeah.
So,
That's a good
yeah,
mindset to have. Definitely. Definitely.
yeah. So,
I man, the dating scene in the dating world. I mean, I know that's probably a tough period. I tell myself as Muslims, the way the process go for a Muslim, maybe it's just because I'm used to it, my life, and I've
mhm.
done it with my kids, and seeing how it unfolds, and it's I mean, to the time that you take to get, now you're married. Now
Right.
you sat with the families. You um you you came to an agreement. The wedding happened, and now you're married. Now it's to you're married, getting to know one another.
Hmm.
So that's a different aspect.
But then that's a beautiful thing because now you get to build your foundation
Yeah.
and it's based on different things like
Hmm.
you're really gonna find how to work together.
Hmm.
It's not,
Hmm.
it's gonna be a foundation built not just on God but on a level of trust and respect
Hmm.
for one another. And I
Hmm.
think that that's super important too because without respect, like, man, you got to have respect because I think sometimes when you don't have the respect for somebody, that's when things get blown out of proportion. When,
Hmm.
you start talking to people any kind of way or, calling people out of their names or, you know,
Hmm.
putting hands on people, it's because there's a lack of respect there,
Yeah.
you know, and when you respect each other, because the love will come and go,
Yeah.
especially when you're in a long relationship, the love will come and go,
Yeah.
but the respect has to stay. That respect is going to keep you loyal. That respect is going to keep you friends. That
Mhm.
respect is going to keep you working together regardless of what's going on around you. So
Mhm.
the respect and communication, man, those two are big. Those two are big because I mean, with respect comes so many things, but I feel like loyalty also lies within the respect too.
That's huge. That's huge. Those statements are very profound and a good, reminders for people that are either in relationships or looking to be in a relationship. And um, this Zoom thing there doesn't have only has a 30-minute time period.
Okay.
We're trying to work on changing that now. So um, give some advice. It's always like when I say close out, give advice because we always every time I say something or do something, it has to be how can we help people? How can we give examples? How can we, through life experiences? I always do it myself through life experiences. The
Hmm.
things that I've been through, I can only, you know, um, give examples based on that. I
Yeah.
do ask other people their opinion about what they've been through or what they go through and how they live their lives. And, of course, I accept everybody according to their differences. And
Yeah.
but close us out. Give us some example or tell us, the importance of sustaining and having a long lasting relationship with somebody you hope to live your life with.
Think that, it's important um, because you get the opportunity to experience genuine love.
Mm.
If you really go through it and get through it and maintain the balance with, the humility, the authenticity, the communication, the respect, the genuine love, the understanding and the room for growth,
Mm.
then I think that